If I meet a man named Jeremy MacDonald, who comes from Aberdeen, Scotland, I may presume that he's either Church of Scotland, which is Anglican, or perhaps a Presbyterian. My bad. He may be a faithful Catholic. That church is large in Scotland. A Methodist, a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness, or whatever. Is my only alternative to just not care if he's a Christian of whatever kind or not? This is the Practicing Christian. Our report this week is on how presumptuous. Among the early Canaanites, everyone in town was of the same pagan religion. When they got cleaned out by the Israelites, most everyone in town was now a follower of Moses. In Socrates' day, all the Athenians were of the same state religion, which was why he thought they had a right to call for his execution for leading young men astray religiously and philosophically. Later on, everyone in towns like Milan or Sarajevo was a Christian and a member of the dominant church. Exceptions, of course, are granted in all cases for visiting salesmen and traveling musicians. Religion in all the continents and for most of the world's history has been how we as a community see the world, not how I do. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Human tolerance for those who have a partial or significant difference of understanding is usually quite limited, especially if the stranger gets mouthy about the dominant faith. We are, after all, a tribal people. It doubles down when the faith and culture are bound together, which is why we often presume that any Arab is a Muslim. Data. Egypt is about 13% Christian. Palestine has had Christian residents in good numbers beginning almost 700 years before Muhammad began his work, and today as well. Okay. Then there are the typical American reactions to meeting a man named Moshe Greenberg. Jewish, right? More data. The data on Jesus might be especially surprising to Jews, who, if they agree on nothing else, believe that Jews, for Jesus and its messianic philosophy, are beyond the pale. The survey found that 21% of Jewish millennials believed Jesus was, quote, God in human form who lived among people in the first century, close quote. 28% see him as a rabbi or spiritual leader, but not God. Even if their data is inaccurate, that's still a goodly number. My mother used to think that almost all people of Irish descent were Catholic. Data again. The General Social Survey, conducted over the period 1990 to 2000, showed that of the 1,495 respondents who identified themselves as Irish, 51% identified as Protestant, 49% as Catholic. You see, you can't tell the players even with a scorecard. Why does this matter? The more we recognize that many, if not most, of the people we meet may not be believing Christians, not even men with a basic Christian identity, the less presumptuous we'll be with them. If we realize this, we may still want to wish them a blessed Easter, invite them to our worship, or introduce our handsome son to their lovely daughter. For such things often open doors to sharing the gospel with others. Many people who've grown up as Buddhist or Hindu are practicing Christians now. It's important that we keep the doors of conversation open with others, for they may be looking, seriously longing for the information and faith that you have. Don't lock it away. It's also true that this will help us to learn more about them. This is very important because what you say to them may miss the mark if you don't know where they're coming from. For example, there are many varieties of Buddhism, but only one of the many varieties involves a god. The rest don't. If you presume they're already up to speed on God and ideas about God, you may fly right past them with your talk. How presumptuous is that? Here's a good way to converse with non-Christians who have learned something of Jesus and the gospel. When they want to show you what they know and say something like, "You must be a baptized Christian, so that makes you safe and secure in your faith." Don't jump in with your own version of baptism, or your own version of, "You've got it all wrong." Try instead something like, "Yes, baptism is universal among Christians, and for most of us, it means we are valued, loved, and ready to begin becoming disciples of Jesus." Go on from there. Avoid slamming anyone else's ignorance or misunderstanding. When a Muslim chides you for believing in 3 gods, say something like, "Well, when people look at a glacier, a lake, and steam rising from a tea kettle, they may think at first that these are 3 different things, when they're really the same thing in different circumstances or states." It's a bit like our one God. Now, that's a flawed statement, but it may break through his misunderstanding. Even if all the people we get to know are Christian, it may still be presumptuous to act towards them as if their identity as Christians is the same as ours. While many Christians have experienced vividly what Jesus referred to as being born anew, or born a second time, many of the deepest and most faithful believers have not experienced this in the same way as others. Sometimes we may describe our faith in such a way as to imply that our friend's faith is bogus or incomplete. Take it easy here. You may be able to lead him to a fuller relationship with God, or you may make him feel inadequate and sinful. You may also find that he has a deeper faith than you. It's worth remembering that when Jesus spoke with Nicodemus about the spiritual rebirth, he found, to his surprise, that Nicodemus seemed not to know what Jesus was talking about. Yet Jesus presumed that Nicodemus was a good Jew and would know all about this. Presumption again. This was a man that Jesus honored and respected. There are numerous ways to describe a God-centered, life-changing spiritual experience. Simply Christian by N.T. Wright is a little book that is a good beginning for learning how to get into low-tension conversations with people from other backgrounds. Lord, help me to be a bringer of truth wisdom and understanding to my friends. And to be clear to all people that none of us starts life as a believer, no matter what his affiliation and no matter what God's blessing is to adopt us. We see as we seek him to be as his children. Amen. Serve then, be the king's right arm,